That motion has been made. Is there a second for that? There are seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's the way we were moving on now. And just for the new senators, so we're kicked out of this room at 10:30. Once in a blue moon, if we know we have a terrible meeting ahead of us, we can get an extension. We don't have one now, so that's why we're trying to get through this. And also, everything else from now on out on the agenda will go to committee, so we're not voting on anything tonight. So with that, moving on, SB 6412, the Students in Vision 2020 Act, if you can give a quick presentation. And don't feel like anybody has to use all the presentation time if you don't need it. Because I do know we have some stuff for open session that we need to get to. So.
Senator Womack is good to see you. All right. Howdy.
Howdy.
I'd ask unanimous consent that I be made a bill author rather than just an introduce.
Yeah, you don't need
Okay.
consent. You
It's
are.
good, okay. Without objection, Mr. Speaker, consent bill is read. I would just briefly say, this act, hello.
You're up.
This act, I think is really, really important. Just to give you a brief background, Vision 2020, right, written under Bob Gates, an amazing president, outlined in Imperative 10 the idea of shared governance, right? Right? The idea of shared governance, and it's really important that students specifically are mentioned in that. This is a very tangible way in which students can be served, because 3 years ago, there was a big brouhaha over what shared governance was, what meetings students were allowed to be in, and at what level. And if students, the word students is in Imperative 10, that gives us access to when we hire the VP of Student Affairs and when we fire the VP of Student Affairs, we should be there. When we hire the provost, we should be there. And I think we all agree on that. Y'all, this is how we serve students. We fix sidewalks, we adjust RR bills, we put things in documents. That's how universities work. It's not sexy most of the time, I'm sorry to tell you. It's not incredibly fun. This is just a brief lesson in student government. The most important things you'll do in student government, if you really want to change things, won't be making cool speeches or talking to administrators. It'll often be setting in a spreadsheet for about 5 hours at a time, making it happen. And that's just the way government, that's the way student government works. If you want to make something happen, you can't do it with a speech. You got to do it with data. You got to do it with processes. You got to do it with these documents. That's why this bill is important. That's why this bill will serve students.
Just a quick thing. This is probably going to go to AA. Why is this an act? Well, we don't want it to expire at the end of the year. I don't know whether Jeff, Mr. President, can achieve this in 1 year. And so I don't want us have to renew a bill or bring a bill back. This will just be in the code. It'll be there permanently. We don't have to consider this again. Why? We save time. And by saving time, we serve students with excellence. Thanks again. With that, Mr. Speaker, get the floor.
Yeah, that concludes your presentation anyway. So with that question answered, Tyler Mandry, Senator Mandry.
Tyler Mandry, College of Engineering. Briefly, can you just summarize if we accomplish the purpose of this bill, what will be the tangible effect?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to give you a specific example of what went down 3 years ago, the VP of Student Affairs, Dean Rashani, was fired without any notice to student government, and a new VP of Student Affairs, General Weber, who I actually really like very much, this is not a knock on him, was hired without student involvement. Now, if there is a position on campus which you think students should have a role in, it would be the hiring of the VP of Student Affairs, right? But we were shut out of that meeting. So there was this big apology given by the administration. A committee was formed to look at the role of shared governance, and then some ideas were exchanged. People graduated, people got fired. That never really materialized. So what happens when the word students is in shared governance? It says to people at the university, hey, you can't hire and fire a VP of Student Affairs without talking to students first. You can't do these kind of major decisions on campus without these decisions first. Now, that might not seem important right now because we have an administration with Dr. Bluff who's very good at listening to students, but that's not always the case. We have a very high turnover when it comes to presidents, provosts, and things like that. We need this enshrined so we can look at the battalion, so we can look at former students even and say, hey, why aren't you talking to students? Because that actually was the reason given by the former administration. Well, shared governance. I listen, but I don't. Students, whatever. So he's not good.
Yes, you may.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Senator.
So this would mean that students would get put on the committees, or it would mean that we're just wanting them to say that students will be involved somehow.
It should, well, primarily it says students should be involved. And that means being on those hiring committees. It won't be on the firing committees, that's unfortunately not going to happen. But it will be on those hiring committees. So,
10 seconds.
Faculty live and breathe Vision 2020. So does the President's office. So if we're in it, they'll live and breathe student interest too. So that's really what this boils down to. I was on a committee with President Gold in the 61st session to do this exact thing. It wasn't accomplished. That's why the bill is here now.
Okay, and with that, I will refer this bill to the Academic Affairs Committee. Next up, SB 6413, Statutes of the Senate Reorganization Act.
Okay. Without objection, Mr. Speaker, consider the bill as read.
It's in our bylaws, we always consider it as read, so we'll
Okay.
change that.
Statutes of the Senate Reorganization Act. Why do we have to do this? Well, these got numbered a little bit off, but that's okay. Vision 2020 is an act. Like we said, we don't want it to expire. In order to put it into the code, we just have to reorganize the code so that we have somewhere to put it, so that when you open the code, you can turn the page and be like, there is the policy and proposal. That's basically it. So this is step one. All we're doing is taking the current statutes of the Senate in the code, reorganizing them to make room for policies and proposals. That's all this does. How does that serve students? It's basically an organizational tool that we can use later on to quickly put policies and proposals in the code and not forget about them. Okay? If you just put them somewhere buried in the document, you're never going to resurrect them unless you know where to go and look. Where President Pickering can go and say, well, what am I obligated to do for the Student Senate? He looks under Chapter 9, or Chapter 900, 901, 902, etc., and there's everything he has to do.
For any of you who are curious about how this is going to serve students, I guarantee you, ask anybody that's ever gone looking for a previous bill before, and that rabbit hunt is something you don't want to do. Really quickly, this will get hashed out in R. We will fix this. We don't want this to be a big deal in Student Senate next meeting. We want this quick, done. If you have a question, come talk to Cody or I. Come to the R meeting. That's where we'll get it done, so we don't have to waste any of your time.
Yeah, this is quick, cut, dry, and simple. So I would urge you guys just to pass it very quickly. We don't need to spend too much time on it. So that's
Okay, thank you. With that, do we have questions for the bill authors? Seeing any? Okay, sure.
Real fast,
Mark.
could you explain chapter 501, the Zachary Johnson Soul Ross Penny Act?
Okay, Chapter 501, Zachary M. Johnson Soul Ross Penny Act, was passed by the 61st session and basically states that the student body president was supposed to appoint some committee to go collect the money off of Soul Ross. Now, whether or not that's been done or not, it's still in the code, and that's why.
Okay, further questions for the bill authors? Going once, going twice, chair will close question and answer and refer this to the Rules and Regulations Committee. Next up, SB 6414, student body and student government policies and proposal.
Okay, so first thing we did, okay, I guess it's written.
Please maintain order, sir.
First thing we did is we took the code as it was and reorganized it. Now we're plugging in another subtitle. These are all the policies and proposals. We got to organize those too, so it's very cut and dry and simple. If you go through this, you can see very quickly, 902 is, let's see, academic affairs, community relations, student fees, tuition, university bills. What are those? Well, those are basically the categories of the policy bills that we enact. So all this is just to say that if sometime later on you want to write a statute that won't expire at the end of the year and it relates, say, to student services, that's where it goes, right there, okay? You just amend the code, put it as a new article. Student body president, whenever he wants to know what he has to do, open the code to subtitle 9, and everything is listed out there in plain English.
Imagine you're trying to write a research paper and there's no index. Right now, we do not have an effective index.
Or
So it's
table of
or
contents.
table of contents, or any logical numbering system, really. So page numbers, all of it, it's all screwed up. We fix it.
And the last inaction clause, I think underneath here is just to reorganize the Soul Ross Penny Act because currently it was in the way and we had to move it around. So it's not meant to be anything crazy. So this is very simple, clear, cut, dry, don't spend too much time on it.
Okay, thank you. With that, questions for the bill authors? Going once, going twice, seeing none, chair will send this also to the Rules and Regulations Committee. Now we have SB 6415, the West Campus Garage Crosswalk Bill. So if bill authors can please come up. You have 2 minutes for presentation.
He stepped out.
He stepped down. Who's the bill author?
Johnson said that he's coming out.
Johnson, okay. Who is, oh, you know what, Jake Riley, he asked me to put you on his bill. And yeah, that's, okay, I'm sorry, yes, y'all are bill authors. Okay, all right, you go ahead.
Okay, basically all this bill is asking is that we put crosswalks at the entrances, or the entrance of West Campus Garage across the street from Lot 61. There's a lot of student traffic back and forth across that street. Currently, you have to go to either crosswalk, either at the intersection of Wellborn or at Olson and John Kimbrough to cross the street. And it's just a safety issue. If you go by there at any point in the day, you'll see a lot of students just crossing the street without crosswalks. This is just for the safety of all our students.
We don't want anyone to get hit outside of West.
Excellent, thank you. Questions for the bill authors, or for the sponsors, whatever? Any questions? Robertson, is that a question? No? Questions? Okay. Senator Heath, do you have questions?
Because I guess whenever I walk across, like I'll just stop on the sidewalk and wait for the cars to go, so cars have to stop for pedestrians now, and that's not going to apply to doing that.
It's gonna be like, you know where Clayburg?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Across there.
I mean, technically you're supposed to stop. A lot of people still don't, but it's just more of like
Awareness.
yeah, awareness. So it's gonna have a sign with the flashing, so people know like, hey, people might cross here, so you're not like just playing chicken with all the cars.
It would be like across from Clayburg where y'all, no, it would be, like, this would be equivalent to when, I think it was last Senate session, y'all put in the crosswalks that are across from Clayburg and 61. It would just be doing the same thing pretty much on the other side of Lot 61.
Okay, sorry, Roberts is next.
Peter Roberts on campus. For all the new people, once this bill's passed, it's a good idea. Then what happens? How do we make this happen?
We go and talk to, I'm assuming transportation or facilities or what, I don't,
I think it's facilities.
facilities and say, hey, you did this last year, it's done a lot of good, people love it, can you please do this so we don't have kids getting hit by cars?
And exactly to that, it's student services job, so. Okay, Robertson.
Yes, Robertson, that's, so is this gonna be at like one of the two entrances to the garage, or are we gonna be down there by where it breaks off to the wreck by the tunnel? If you do it by one opening in the garage, it's like 100 yards away from the quad crosswalk. It just seems kind of silly, so.
I think, and I'm not quite sure what Jake had decided upon,
15 seconds.
I think it's whatever they decide to do. I'm hoping they're gonna put one right in the middle, because that's where I encounter the most pedestrians, but they may put one on both the middle and closer to the tunnel. It's completely up to them though.
Okay, with that, that concludes our question and answer. I will move this to SS. We've got SB 6416, the appropriations bill. We've kind of already hashed it out, but
Yeah.
do you have any presentation for it?
I actually have something to say. Anybody who has appeals, email me. It can be senators, it can be J-Court, anyone on J-Court, they're not here anymore. Anyone on exec, and any of the committee chairs. So if you get in contact with any of them, let them know. I'm pretty sure they're aware that they can appeal to us, but just email me or Facebook me or find me. I'm usually in Coldus, and just let me know if you have any appeals so we can get this taken care of before we have to debate it out in 2 weeks.
Okay, all right, thank you. We have time for 2 minutes of questions. I would encourage you to send it to her if you can, but if it has to be asked here, ask it here. Any questions?
Yes. Point of information, just to clarify.
Okay.
These aren't the appeals like after, these are before we pass the bill?
Right.
Okay.
The bill will come back to my committee, and we're gonna do some modifications if people have modifications, and then it'll come up in 2 weeks for it to be like finalized and for you guys to vote on and debate on. But I mean, if you have appeals, come talk to us. We're good people, I think.
Okay, and with that, I'm gonna say no question. We're gonna move that bill to student services. We're now, is that right? Student services? That's where we usually send it, right?
Yeah.
Or,
Wait, no, point of order.
Mr. Speaker.
Doesn't this go to appropriations?
Yeah.
Well, it does it because it's not a legislative committee, but it does?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
I'm pretty,
Right.
I mean,
Appropriate.
Chair Bain knows explicitly, but.
You're right, I'm sorry. Okay, with that, we're in a period of open session. We have just enough time that we could hypothetically, with some stringent rules, do open session. So I hear an item for open session. Can we please bring it up? Can you give a 1-sentence summary of what it is?
Okay, this is a bill saying that, and this is something we need to do now-ish, because they're making a decision as to whether to open up the Joe route for two-way traffic, and so this would be a bill encouraging that.
And are you asking for emergency legislation on this?
I am.
Okay, so that, all of you are putting this on the agenda and doing this real fast, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. What's the question? Yeah, okay, all right. Please say, if you're in favor of putting it on the agenda, do it real fast, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. I'm going to entertain a motion for 2 minutes presentation, 2 minutes question and answer.
Yeah, we won't take that.
Okay, well, let me finish entertaining because we have to have debate.
Sorry, continue to entertain.
2 minutes presentation, 2 minutes question and answer, 4 minutes debate, 2 minutes, 1 recognition per side.
So move, Mr. Speaker.
I'll second it. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Okay, excellent. We'll get this done in 8 minutes or less. Start presentation.
Okay. Okay, so, Joe Route, which is the street that goes right in front of the MSC construction, you know, the one that's really bumpy and you want them to repave, but they're not gonna do it until they're done with the MSC renovations, that one. Right now, they are, if you go online, you got an email from President Lofton saying, hey, check out the survey about different options about what we can do with this road. Option 5 is what you should vote. Excuse me if I can be a little bit biased, and that's the only one that gives open 24-hour two-way traffic to public, to the public. Others, one of the options is to pave it over and have, no traffic there whatsoever. One of the options is to have one way. One of the options is to do what they did with Ross and only give faculty members and buses the route to go through. Okay, so option 5, go on, I did the survey, Brody did the survey tonight, go online, do the survey first off, but also we have to vote on this soon because there's potential that this will be decided before we have another chance to vote on it. So I think it would be very nice, guys, listen to all the bill said, you can read it, therefore let it be enacted that we get, full-time, round-the-clock, public two-way, driving, on Joe Route. And that's all it's saying. It'd be really nice if we could get unanimous support on this. I don't know why you'd be against it. You might be, but it would be, it's send a good message if we're all for this.
That concludes your presentation?
That concludes my presentation.
Excellent, thank you. We are now at a period of question and answer for Senator Mann. Do you have a question?
Tyler Mann, College of Engineering. How would this represent the opinion of the student body better than the survey that's already been?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. First of all, the survey that's being emailed out, that's not a random sample, it's not scientific. I mean, yeah, it's nice that we have a survey that kind of asks some people how they feel about it, but I don't expect all of the people answering that to necessarily be informed about the issue or even have driven on that road. So I think we can make a good informed decision here that would supplement that. If it turns out that a lot of students are clamoring, like they really want this road to be closed, then that's probably going to happen. But this decision is probably going to be made in the next 2 weeks, and we can't afford not to have our voice heard on this.
Yeah, in addition, like the survey and our vote, they are not mutually exclusive. You know what I'm saying? Like we can do both. So and we should.
Okay. Sorry, does that finish the answer?
Yes. To his question, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to let SBQ Pickering ask a question now.
Yeah, I would just ask. With this survey being sent out to the entire student body from Dr. Lofton and myself, and with, as of this morning, 8,139 students having, and that was as of 8:30, it'll still be open until midnight of Sunday. With that many students answering the survey, we're getting closer and closer to a statistically sound representative of the student body. So, with 50,000 people. So I would just ask, how do you think that's, do you think that's not representative? Do you think we should wait on that before we make the Senate bill? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, you say
well, yeah, it's not a scientific sample. It's actually biased because it's not randomly sampled. Basically, if people can choose whether or not to answer a survey question, then the sample is already biased because only people who care about the issue are answering it. Or only people who happen to open their email that day, or only people who read emails from President Lofton. There are a lot of biasing factors that can go into that and make it non-scientific.
And additionally, just as a statistician by hobby, I can say, you generally speaking on a random sample, you don't want more than 10% of your population responding. When you get more than 10% of the population responding, funky things happen.
And back to us average brains over here, in addition to that, like this is not cancel the survey, water down the survey at all. These people that were elected to represent the student body, we need to have a voice on this. There is nothing wrong with getting more than one opinions on what to do here. And that can be looking at the experts, that can be a survey, that can be student government, that can be a lot of people. This is one of them, and we need to act on it.
Okay, we're over time, so with that, we will move into a period of debate. Do I hear debate 4? First hand I see. Senator Womack. 2 minutes, starting now.
I do think the concern, and I'm sure we're going to hear about this, and I just want to encourage everyone to vote your opinion on this. I will say from the constituents that I've talked to, option 5 is overwhelmingly the majority in support. I can tell you that when I was a freshman and sophomore here, before they closed the MSC, option 5 is what we had. After that closed down, significant delays were made. A lot of problems. Actually, we didn't even have any access to that route. It was completely closed down. People were late to class. Traffic at Wellborn. Fun fact, you probably don't know this. Wellborn and George Bush is the second busiest intersection in the state of Texas before Joe Route got closed down. So for all of you people who are sitting there beating your head against the horn at 8 a.m. because you can't get to class, one of the main reasons why that intersection is even more clogged up is because Joe Route is closed down. I think option 5 is the best for students. I think it is the best for our university. I think it's best for the faculty. I understand their concerns. I don't think we're getting out ahead in student opinion. We can sit here on our hands and say, oh, we'll wait for a survey to happen, but that's not your jobs. Your jobs are to represent student opinion. That's why you were elected. That's why you were selected. So if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then we can just survey monkey every decision, and you can just go home on Wednesday nights because all we need is surveys. I do think important referendums do need to pass. Handguns, for example, is one where it could go either way. This one's very concisely in favor of option 5. I think this will help make the administration realize that students, when they get the survey results back, when they compare what students did, this is a resolution, not a bill, right? It says students did, it says this. Those two on Dr. Lofton's desk will make that decision very clear, very strong from the entire student body. Let's open up Joe Route. Let's stop the traffic jam.
Woo! I can ask my own question real quick. Is this a resolution or a bill?
This is a bill.
Oh,
Wait.
Answers are
Chill out, I'm not. Scott, is this a resolution?
How is this a bill?
Yeah, it's a bill.
Sally did it. Move for emergency legislation.
Sally
did
Okay,
There's
thank
nothing
you.
on there that says.
forget my comments about the religious.
That was our one recognition for. Now for our one recognition against. Chair Barber, you have 2 minutes.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Alright, well, Womack beat me to the punch. He does that quite a bit. Guys, we've got a freaking survey out, okay? I sit here listening to the survey. Jeff and Lofton sent out a survey to the entire student body. We're going to get accurate responses from the student body about what the student body wants. If it's option 5, we'll put option 5 on there. If it's options 1 through 4, it's going to be options 1 through 4, and we can write a bill that supports that when the time comes, okay? And that's great, and there's no reason. I've heard so much about freaking scientific results, especially if you want to go back to the surveys that were taken last year in '63. Don't give me the crap about scientific results. We've got the opinion of students, and that's what's accurate, and I get Senator Roberts.
Hey, Roberts up here, just calm down a little bit here. I know statistics show random sampling is scientific proof or whatever, but it was created because it was impossible to get the whole body's opinion. So if something is sent out to the whole student bodies, I think we need to follow what they said. So, is that? No?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was checking the response. Keep going. You got a minute.
Yeah, I'm going to use the center spot.
We have a survey. How much time do I have there?
You what?
How much time?
You have 45 seconds.
We have a survey out. I mean, it's already gone out. President Lofton, SVP Pickering was elected by the student body. I don't think it's fair to say that, you know, if the survey's already gone out, that we are above the student body's opinion. If they already took making this decision, it's fair to put ourselves above what the decision of the student body is. That's just clearly their choice, and this is the most direct way of deciding what it is that they best want for them.
Okay, with that, I will take that as a yield to the floor. We are now in a period of voting on this piece of legislation, so please get out your clickers. We will do the clicker vote real quick. We will have our closing stuff, and we will adjourn for the evening.
Mr. Speaker,
Stage point, is it?
never mind, I was wrong.
Okay.
Board of Parliament.
It's not up yet. Oh, yeah, it is. It is. I'm sorry. We're frozen. It's open, so vote. Anybody need more time? More time? Okay, we're going to close it. Okay, and Chair, this bill fails. Okay, with that, thank you. Announcements, anybody have a 2-second announcement? No? Okay, thanks. Committee reports, we have nothing, that, if you need questions for the chairs, contact the chairs, reports are online, so look in there. Executive reports, SVP Pickering, have anything? 20 seconds? Do you have anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Howdy. I just wanted to update you on where we are with the Vice President of Community Relations. I was originally going to bring a confirmation to you. All I can tell you is that it did not work out as we thought it was going to, and we will be updating all of you very soon in the coming days of what's going to happen with Vice President of CR position. Thanks, and Jacob.
Do you have a question? Senator Heath?
That's why it's trying to be posted online, or am I supposed to
Okay, I'm sorry, what's your question? Okay, all right, thank you. Chief Justice Rowe? No report? Okay, Senate, thank you for motoring through this meeting. I'm sorry, what's the question? What's the question? Yes, Amanda, we'll touch on that. So, I have nothing further for you. Thank you for motoring through it. Welcome, new senators.
Alright guys, settle down because I do have announcements about committee placements and committee times. I just sent out an email, it is also online on the Senate website on the main page with all of the committee placements as well as the committee times and places for next week. If you have any questions or if there's any committee times that are not reported yet, it's because your chairs haven't told me, so you can ask them directly or update the website as needed and you can find out then. With that, I'm going to do closing roll, so pay attention and please be quiet. Speaker Wilson.
Howdy.
Myself, howdy. Chair Gabe.
Gabe.
Chair Smith.
Howdy.
Barber.
Howdy.
Nidegger. Howdy. McNutt.
Howdy.
Harris. Towser. Golden.
Here.
Weathers. Thornburg.
2012 green check.
Melancon. Lazovica. Gonzalez.
Please, no side conversations. Please, no side conversations.
Gonzalez. Riley. Robertson. S. Brown. Heaver. Strickland.
Howdy.
Logsdon. Young. McCarrick.
Howdy.
Rowan.
Howdy.
Spencer.
Howdy.
Dunham. Mandry.
Howdy.
Saman. Chen.
Howdy.
Pittman.
Howdy.
Melendez. Toops.
Howdy.
Morgan Dyke. Nelson. Altendorf.
Howdy.
Nadiger. Kingsbury. Jessup. King.
Senate, please, no
Morris.
side conversations.
Morris. Kelly.
Howdy.
Hernandez. Sosa.
Howdy.
Berry.
Howdy.
Fernandez. Lahutsky. Struble.
Howdy.
Markowski.
Howdy.
Bonner. T. Brown.
Howdy.
Castilleja. Syriac.
2013 green check.
Wait your turn.
Esparza.
Howdy.
Gore. Heath. Hilton. Leslie.
Howdy.
Massoud.
2009 ring check.
Lawson. Luke.
Howdy.
Baran. Davis.
Howdy.
Robert.
Howdy.
Shutt. Hill. L. Sullivan. R. Sullivan. Van Dyne. Marisco. Womack.
O'Bannon.
Penniman. Thank you.
Go to Fuego. Where's the clicker?
Small world, okay.
I was appreciating the same thing.
Okay, Cindy Davis.
I'm sure we'll be working together a lot. Yeah. I'll see you.